welcome. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Mike Cassidy, and I will be your filmmaker host for this interview with the Garden State Film Festival. This is the 24th annual Garden State Film Festival, New Jersey's premier independent film festival. And we will be running from March 26th to the 29th in Asbury Park in Cranford at 9 different venues and over 200 films. Today, I am very lucky to get to have the chance to speak with the director behind No Baby on Board, Julia Kotz. Julia, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. Very glad to be here.
Of course, yeah. How about you tell us a little bit about your documentary?
Well, No Baby on Board is a feature-length documentary that is partially animated, it's comedic, and it is essentially about why women aren't having kids.
All right, that's pretty good. I was gonna ask if it was because when I watched it earlier today, I did notice some things that made me laugh. The one that jumped out to me was when you were explaining the difference between infertile fertilization. You know what I'm saying? The different. I wrote it down. I'm so sorry. Oh, AI, PI, and NI. Right. And I think it was during PI the person was doing, and then he made a noise when it happened, I guess.
Yeah.
But yes, I really did. I had a great time watching your documentary. I learned a lot. I went to an all-boys Catholic high school, and the sex ed and anatomy teacher was the head of the wrestling team. So this was kind of long overdue for me. So if you could, just can you explain to us the inspiration and why you felt you wanted to make this project and get out there and what the message was?
Well, basically, in my mid-30s, I was single and not sure what was going to happen in the future. And so I froze my eggs, which was, it's difficult, it's expensive. I had a lot of pressure from friends and family to do it, and I did it. And then several years down the line, once I was finally partnered, I realized I couldn't really afford to use those eggs or to have kids in any way, shape, or form. And I decided that I didn't want to just throw them out because it was so hard to create them, and also because there are a lot of women out there who need eggs. So I started trying to figure out if I could find anybody who would want to use those eggs. And I started recording myself doing that, and the process proved to be more difficult and ridiculous than I ever thought it would be. And at the same time, I started to sort of try to figure out why exactly, besides the financial reason, was I not having kids, and try to be honest with myself about that. And I started talking to other women I knew of various ages and cultural backgrounds about why they had decided not to have children, because I actually realized that there are quite a few of us, and statistics project that by the year of 2035, 1 out of 4 women in the US will not have children.
I found that statistic very interesting as well when I saw that. About the other women that you interviewed, though, it was a very broad spectrum. I noticed. What was your criteria for finding these women that you wanted to speak to?
I started out with my friends, and as you can see in the doc, our conversational style, it's very clear who I'm friends with, just the way the banter goes. And then I kind of just started spreading the net wider and wider, friends and of friends, and ended up with people that I'd never met before. But that's kind of how it went. Is just word of mouth.
You also interviewed your mother, I saw, and I was wondering, that just seems like such a delicate conversation to have with the person who birthed you. What was that experience like? Did you find it difficult to try and get answers out of your mom, or for her to see your way, or whatever?
It was very difficult. My mother is very upset with the fact that I did not have children. And my relationship with her is, we're very close, but it's very strained at the same time. I think that's not an uncommon mother-daughter dynamic. But yeah, I was telling her about the project and she was mortified. And then I kind of led her to believe that um, I needed a voice of somebody who had had children, and she volunteered herself for that job. And I, let her come in and speak, and I kind of guided her towards some of the thornier subjects. But the conversation, took a life of its own. And it's very those moments do get actually the biggest laughs in the audience. And unfortunately, she has not come to a public screening of it because she disapproves of her. I think she regrets being in it. She disapproves of the subject matter. She disapproves of my life choices. And I keep telling her, like, you get the biggest laughs. Maybe she will want to see it one day. I don't know.
Maybe one day. Yeah, I think that'd be good. I feel like, yeah, it's the family pressure, I believe, was the title card you used before that. And this expectation we get sometimes from my parents too is that they want to be grandparents and everything. That whole, like, that saying that your children's children are your second chance at being a parent, I guess, is kind of how I've been told with it and everything. What were some of the one of the reasonings behind why you were saying not to have kids was the financial aspect you went through a few times as well. I think I wrote down that it's $300,000 to raise a child nowadays. So how did that impact your decision making as well?
Yeah, it's somewhere around the government figure is somewhere around like 350 or something, but
Gotcha.
that's the median cost. And I live in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
And so in a place like that, in the big cities, that figure is easily double. Even with public education,
Hmm.
that figure is easily double because I don't know if you know of friends or relatives who are have to do childcare now. It is the price of rent. So you're going to be
Yes.
paying two rents, So I also happen to have had, I graduated with six-figure student loans. And
Yep.
that is a very interesting loan because it's very hard to pay it down. You just end up paying interest. When it balloons to a certain size, it's like you just pay interest and the principal just never decreases.
Right.
So yeah, when you're saddled with those financial realities, and you have the option to make a choice, to have a decision over your procreation, you're gonna think twice. You know, that's just the reality of things.
Absolutely. Yeah, I am also in that boat with student loans, so I know where you're coming from. What was the process like, perhaps behind the camera that you didn't show, with your journey for donating these eggs to who you believed would do the best with them or deserve them? I don't think that would be the right word, but who you ultimately chose.
Yeah, that was tricky. I did speak with a couple of different people, and the couple that I eventually gave them to. Well, I don't know if I'm giving it away.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there are a couple of details that I should hold back,
You
but
can,
yeah,
absolutely. This is a no
yeah,
spoiler. We want people
yeah.
to be surprised on the
Let's move on.
screen.
Let's move on to the next question.
We'll think of something else. Okay, I'll just
Okay,
cross that
okay.
out real quick. Okay, so you also spoke with some people, and there weren't just financial reasons. There were medical reasons, people not wanting to pass on certain genes that were in their family to their children. Um, do you think that, because I think about that, like I have mental illness in my family, addiction in my family, so I'm nowhere near having children, I don't think, hopefully. But um, Was that a big driver for you as well? And what was it like speaking to those women who were like afraid to pass something down to their children, which I think is
Yeah,
very
that's a really interesting question. I didn't address that for myself in the film. I did mention that I was on antidepressants,
Mhm.
and that my biological father had been an alcoholic. So I definitely do have some genes that I'm hesitant to pass on. The woman that was profiled more broadly in that particular subject was bipolar.
Yes.
So that kind of an affliction is more difficult to manage than, let's say, something like depression. I don't know if you can really quantify it, but so that woman was particularly speaking about bipolarism, and she'd had several suicide attempts. So for her, it was very, very serious, and she would also have had to go off of her medication, mood stabilizing medication, in order to conceive. And she feared, and her physician feared, that she would be a danger to herself or her fetus if she had to do that. With myself personally, yeah, I definitely have thought about that. Um, it's one of those things they say, it's not a sure thing. But I thought, well, if this potential child of mine has my genes, but also then is on top of that raised by a mother with depression,
Right.
I feel like it's all but a certainty that they would develop
Yeah. So
something
yeah.
like that. So it was part of my consideration too. Yes. One thing I learned from speaking with all of these women, and for every one woman that's on camera, I spoke with 5 others that didn't end up being on camera or ended up on the cutting room floor. And the one constant that I noticed, because there's so many different reasons that they represent, but the one commonality that I noticed between them all is that nobody really has like the one definitive reason. That for a
Right.
majority of them, it's an amalgamation of
Right.
different reasons, and same for me as well.
Yeah, there were. I feel like I'm not even touching on half of the stuff that was mentioned. I recall that you said if you were in France or another European country with healthcare different than ours here, that would possibly play a part in your decision making as well. Do you think that? And I know there's like the numbers of like the population going down as well. And I was just very, if it struck me because would you ever consider moving to another country to have children? And that was something I asked myself too with the statistics that were being thrown out and everything, you know? So
There are other reasons that I would consider moving to other countries.
same here. Yeah, that's just, yeah, yeah,
Actually,
there's
I mean,
one.
and I'm not even getting political here, but honestly, just to make film, to make art is significantly easier in some other countries. But I'm past the age of where I think technically I probably could still have children, but it would take
Sure.
it would take some doing. But yeah, so I'm not at a point where I'm considering that moving to have children. However, I did read this one book called Bringing Up Bebe, like Bebe, the French spelling of baby.
Yes.
It's by this journalist and writer named Pamela Druckerman, I believe, and it's a very funny um, memoir of her about her own experiences as an American expatriate in France, having kids. And I is just reading
Mhm.
about, coming out of the hospital without a bill, and also the creches. Do you know what a creche is?
I am not familiar,
It's a
no.
nursery school. It's the French word for nursery school. And so they have these incredibly wholesome creches where, she was describing going into kind of a school board meeting that was that was planning the lunch menus for the semester of these preschoolers. And they were talking about the 4 different kinds of cheese that had to be represented, including brie, including hard cheeses. And so it was just like she's writing about it in a very entertaining and humorous way.
Right.
I actually bought the book so long ago, way before I thought of this project. But it's just, yeah, when you read about things like that, and I'm sure it's not all amazing. I'm sure there are
Right.
other problems there too. But when you read about it's just such a different societal take on what society should do to aid in its own procreation
Growth. Yeah.
in the development of its own society, and how
Right.
communal it is. It really kind of does make you think, like, if I lived there, who knows?
Right, exactly. Yeah. In kindergarten, I don't think anybody knew what cheese I was eating. So that does sound already a way more in depth.
Probably
Place.
powdered cheese, I imagine.
Probably, yeah. Yeah. I don't like to think about it, but yeah. But it's been great talking with you. Unfortunately, we are coming to the end of our time. My final question to wrap things up is: will we be able to see you at this year's festival?
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to attending in person and doing a Q&A.
Awesome. Well, we can't wait. I can't wait to meet you in person there. And thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me again. This is
Thank you.
No Baby Award, going to be shown Saturday, March 26th in block CT38 from 12:30 p.m. to 2:15 p.m. Julia, thank you so much again. I had an absolute pleasure speaking with you, and I can't wait to see you in March.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night. Thanks.
Good night.